Nkrumah, Ghana's first president, had a bold vision to transform Ghana into a thriving industrial economy.
After independence, Kwame Nkrumah realized that aluminum and bauxite exploitation would be a game changer for the country.
Kwame Nkrumah was very, very focused on Ghana's resources, natural, physical, mental, spiritual, and how to mobilize all of it for the development of our country.
At its heart was a plan to harness the power of the Volta River with a hydroelectric dam, fueling industrialization and prosperity. For President Kwame Nkrumah, electricity was a catalyst for Ghana's economic development.
If you have electric power, you can do anything you want, and it was good for the country too.
In 1958, Nkrumah met US President Eisenhower, who connected him with Edgar Kaiser of Kaiser Aluminium. Kaiser agreed to build an aluminium smelter, but imposed tough conditions.
The power price at the time, again, like businessmen, they wanted the best price for themselves, and they got it because we were desperate.
They had decided that they did not want any one country to have the entire ownership of the value chain.
To protect their profits, Kaiser insisted on importing alumina instead of developing a refinery to produce alumina using Ghana's own bauxite resources. Faced with these compromises, Nkrumah pressed forward. Construction of the Akosombo Dam began in 1961 and was completed in 1965. However, the dam and the smelter came at a cost, as mounting debts and political tensions would later destabilize Nkrumah's government, leaving his dream of a self-sufficient Ghana unfinished. The overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah in 1966 plunged Ghana into a period of political and economic instability.
Whose, for whatever reasons they have never and will never be the solution to development problems in a country.
Amid droughts and a growing demand of electricity, the aluminium industry, once a symbol of Nkrumah's vision, began to falter. Insufficient investment, poor management, and volatile global aluminium prices crippled production. It was a good time for Ghana to reclaim control of Balco, Ghana's aluminium smelter, in an effort to reclaim control of its resources.
Jerry Jones set up a team. They went and renegotiated with Kaiser Aluminium, even though they were not very amenable to it. And we got, I think there was a doubling in the price initially to $11 per megawatt hour. Later, there was another negotiation and it went up again.
In the years that followed, Ghana's aluminium sector stagnated despite efforts like the Economic Recovery Program of 1983, which privatized Valco with Kaiser Aluminium, later Alcoa, retaining a stake. Under the regime of President Kufuor, the government of Ghana acquired Kaiser's 90% stake in 2004 and Alcoa's 10% stake in 2008, making Valco fully owned by the government of Ghana. Determined to revitalize this critical industry, the government of Ghana established the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation, GIADEC, in 2018. Tasked with building a globally competitive integrated aluminium industry, GIADEC oversees the entire value chain, from bauxite mining to aluminium production, ushering in a bold new chapter in Ghana's industrial development.
We realized as a country that we had a gap. We have mining, which started in Awaso, bauxite. We don't have refineries, and then we have a smelter. In order to link the dots, as I like to call it, and have an integrated aluminium industry, the refineries became very necessary for us to have.
The mandate of GIADEC is to promote and develop a fully integrated aluminium industry in Ghana.
We've set out a very clear plan to deliver that mandate, and that plan is anchored on fully utilizing all of our 900 million metric tons to about 1 billion metric tons of bauxite that we have in the country.
A fully integrated aluminium industry has the potential to add as much value to Ghana's economy as the oil and gas industry. One of the first things that GIADEC did was to establish a master plan. And the master plan walks us through what the industry is going to look like. There are going to be 4 bauxite mines. We're looking at 2 refineries. We're looking at an expanded and modernized Valco smelter, and then a thriving downstream aluminium industry. If we have all of those together, that is what brings the integrated aluminium industry to life. So it doesn't mean we have to take it step by step from the beginning. We can start by producing more bauxite. We can, in parallel, modernize Valco, and it will all come together to produce an integrated aluminium industry.
This is the kind of project that needs input, not just on the reserve side, but having the infrastructure to support it was very critical. We set out 3 working groups: the transport working group, the environment working group, and the power working group, so that they would have at the top of their minds when they are developing their strategies and their plans that GIADEC had this project and GIADEC had these requirements, and would therefore put the required infrastructure and the policies in place to ensure that our project was successful.
If we're going to expand mining in Ghana, we can't put all of that bauxite on the road. We need to have a railway line to be able to transport that bauxite.
We need to have a port infrastructure that allows us to have Cape-sized vessels and, efficient enough to, in terms of turnaround of ships and stuff like that.
We will need power for the smelter. We'll need power for the refinery.
And when we say power, we are not talking about just power. We're talking about competitively priced power.
And we're working closely with Ghana Gas to ensure that the gas pipelines are in place, to ensure that there's enough gas to power the refineries. We're working with the Volta River Authority to ensure that there's enough hydropower to power the smelters. We will also need additional power, so there are conversations ongoing about how we will provide the power for the integrated aluminium industry.
The Ministry of Energy is ready to support industrial growth in Ghana. The integrated aluminium industry is one of the special industries that you have identified that has intense energy consumption. We need a special attention from the energy sector. In view of this, we are ready and very much prepared to make sure that once it is taken off, we will make the necessary power available and the necessary energy available to make sure that the IAI runs without any hitches.
GIADEC will be there to give you all the support. We look forward to a mutually beneficial partnership between us.
We signed on 2 companies. One for the bauxite mining, which is a fully Ghanaian company, that's Offshore International. That was the first project that we signed in 2021.
They are partnering us in the development of a mine and a refinery solution. So that particular project, if I can call it that, the joint venture company that we've created, which is Ashanti Bauxite Limited, is going to be 100% owned by Ghanaians.
We have also signed on our partner for the integrated projects. And when I say integrated project, I mean the mining and refinery project as a joint project. We've signed on Michelin to be our partner on that project.
Very strong, company with world-class expertise in the development of this. And I'm proud to say, we've been able to build that partnership with them to develop the third, one of the blocks in the Hine Pasasu area.
In addition to that, we are having conversations with promoters to look at a second refinery in Ghana. And then we have the 4th project where we are looking at bringing in a strategic partner for Valco. So most of these projects, governments will be doing that hand in hand with the private sector, both local partners and international partners.
If you're putting $5 billion of investment into this industry in Ghana, you're looking at a return of about $2 billion every year coming back into the economy. It's about the industrial transformation of Ghana, which is what we have been arguing since the days of Kwame Nkrumah to actually, transform this economy around. In the last few years in Ghana, we've had at least 11 of the big car assemblers or manufacturers set up plants in Ghana. And the idea is that they would assemble cars for use in Ghana and then also export within the sub-region under the African Continental Free Trade Agreement or area. To make the cars, you need metals, and aluminium is one of the component metals for making cars.
The airline industry has always used aluminium because it's a lighter metal. Education is critical. You need several people with skill along the chain. Each product requires a certain finesse and value addition.
The training institutions would need the right caliber of manpower to actually support the industry. Luckily, we've had the mining industry in Ghana for a while now, so there's some skills base that is there. We have had also Valco, been running since 66, 67, and again they have some skill set that is there.
Our universities are already training our geologists and what have you. So in terms of a skills base, I think it's available.
If you go to the Middle East, companies like EGA, you go to Oman, even Qatar, places like that, they employ quite a significant number of ex-Valco employees. So these are people who've been trained here in Ghana who know how to work smelters.
However, if you want to bring more mines on stream and improve the smelter and more smelters, then you need more human resource. So it means that our universities, our polytechnics, training institutes would need to come up with new trainings, new skill sets that could be developed to support the industry. Various segments of the value chain will create different types of jobs. The biggest component of the jobs would be within the construction phase. So when the mines are being built, the railways are being built, the processing facilities are being built, almost about 43,000 jobs being created, both direct, indirect, and induced.
When Rockshore was undertaking the mineral resource estimates work in the Nyinahin and Pasasu area, at some point in time they had upwards of 200 people within the local community. So all this is helping to develop the industry in Ghana.
Most of the primary aluminium is exported. With an expanded downstream industry, we'll be able to use more of that aluminium in country, adding value. There are opportunities in the construction space, in the food and packaging space. There are opportunities in the pharmaceutical industry. There are opportunities in the automotive industry as well. We're speaking to a number of automotive component manufacturers that use aluminium for various car parts for the aerospace industry. There are really, really broad opportunities here.
We should ensure that the economic demands of the system does not override the environmental needs within the system. Areas where it's of significant biodiversity interests, both nationally and internationally, we would not even touch. We will use what we call the mitigation hierarchy: avoidance, minimization, restoration, and offset programs. The mitigation hierarchy basically is to avoid critical areas that we cannot, so to speak, mine. And areas, if we cannot avoid, we will minimize the way we degrade. And if we cannot minimize, we will restore, which is going through some form of rehabilitation process. And if we cannot restore, we will also offset. So we have comprehensive assessment and plans in place to allow us to move forward with restoring the natural resource around us.
Well, first of all, we have what we call the 19-member committee, which comprises of different sectors. Like the chief is represented, the Queen Mother, the Queen, is represented, the women associations are there, and then the district assembly itself, because they are the administrative head of that area.
They have on several occasions visited the community of Nyinahini and other several communities here. Several community engagements have been done, some in Nyinahini here, some in the communities affected by the potential mine, some in Kumasi, and I have personally been invited to participate in a major stakeholder engagement by GIADEC at Peduase in the eastern region.
The GIADEC is also going to attain urban status. And even if the whole of Atinamponwa, because of the GIADEC, attains the urban status, you know what comes or what goes with urban interest. Urban projects could also be brought in to improve the lives of the people.
If the bauxite is going to come up, youth will be encouraged to go back to school, that's go back to the uni, to come back and be employed in the field of the bauxite. I am absolutely ready, 100% ready, because as it stands, I'm unemployed.
I am in the process of the bar. I'm going to try to get like I want to go to body for name, no matter for Faba. And I'm more down because the Jumaba Kruma, maybe you're done this, but I'm living there. The Batana, Jumaba Kruma, like because you're used to in the journey, because who would you wait? Then I'm in the process of the bank.
Put to fear out on pure water. So far as any power criminal, dear, the other tone be a better. Think about the pan, and to me, say, definitely a beba. I'm a seven gray, and the young penning for visit some melody. Yahoo toy be free. And yes, Caffam, name of March J. FM, Yahoo toy.
The aluminium industry is our green future. Children should be taught that gold is not our only resource. Cocoa is not our only resource. That bauxite is not just something we mine and send out. That full range of what we are able to derive from it is something that should now be put into the curriculum and let it get into the hearts and minds of the young people, so that by the time they grow, they are able to bring their creativity to make use of it for creating value for the nation.
Even though it's over 60 years in the making, I think with everything that GIADEC has done from 2019 to date, we can actually see the making of an industry, and with the right support, we can deliver this to the good people of Ghana.
And it's a matter of how quickly, how effectively, how sustainably they can change the narrative. I really wish GIADEC well in the months and years ahead. I believe Ghanaians would like to see a Ghanaian-owned or managed or dominated aluminum industry, and you are there to make it happen.
We should look at this as an integral part of our national development planning agenda. If we're all committed to seeing an industrialized Ghana, this is arguably one of the pillars that can actually deliver this.
A real boast should be about ensuring that no product remains in its original state.